Hey everybody, it's Pat, the voice behind the recaps. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, checking this video out, and I want to give a big thank you to callcast.co, who are sponsoring the video you're about to watch. If you're unfamiliar with Callcast, they're a new way to create a podcast completely free from your cell phone. Here's how easy it is. If you can make a phone call, you can now make a podcast. They have everything you need to edit, record, publish, promote, even find an audience. It's all at callcast.co. So, check out that QR code at the bottom of the screen, hit that, and you'll be able to see all the awesome features that Callcast has to offer. And now, without further ado, let's get into the recap.
The Ted Lasso character was first introduced as an NBC Sports bit to try to get more American fans interested in the EPL, just like how the NFL is having yearly games in England. It worked for me. And to make it even better, the series was made by Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hunt, both of whom appeared in the skits almost a decade ago, and they play Ted Lasso and Coach Beard. The series starts with an introduction to AFC Richmond owner Rebecca Welton. She inherited the team in a recent divorce from her husband, Rupert. Former manager George is brought in and then immediately fired by Rebecca, to the surprise of Higgins. Higgins then asks if he should get together a list for potential candidates. Rebecca says there is no need. She already has it figured out. And then they transition to SVP, Scott Van Pelt. He is announcing that former Wichita State coach Ted Lasso has accepted the job and will become the first ever coach to switch from football, college football at that, and not even Division One, to soccer. And not just soccer, the Premier League. And for you non-Americans, sorry, I'm going to continue to refer to it as soccer because that's kind of the point of the show. Ted doesn't get it. Ted is then shown for the first time on screen on the plane to London. A fan asks him for an Ussie, and he says, "You mean a selfie?" And then the fan says, "Well, it's not really of myself, is it?" And he says, "Huh, good point." They joke, but ultimately this fan says Ted is going to get killed. Coach Beard is introduced for the first time as he is studying soccer for dummies and learning as much as possible in the plane ride over. And learns into touch means not out of bounds. He then wagers Beard $5 he can use it in a sentence later. They get off the plane and take a stop to visit the Tower Bridge. And Ted says it must not have been the London Bridge because it's still standing. Nathan is then introduced as he runs onto the pitch to get them off the grass. Ted and Coach Beard had wandered out there as they were looking around the stadium. He then finds out they are the new coaches and says they can take as much grass as they want. Right away, Ted Lasso takes a liking to Nathan and says he loves this kid to Coach Beard. Ted then sits down with Rebecca as they chat about the role, and he takes some tea that he instantly regrets and will never try again. Rebecca then gives him a tour around the stadium as she explains it was used during World War II as a hospital, and people think that there are ghosts running around the place. Rebecca then asks Ted if he believes in ghosts. He says he thinks it's more important for ghosts to believe in themselves. Ted is then forced into an instant press conference with the local media. He admits he's never coached soccer and says things like he's going to try for all four quarters. Then they say it's halves. And then he says, we're going to try win or lose. And then they say, or tie. And the media starts to get into a quiet frenzy at this point. Trent Krim from the Independent, as he will repeatedly say throughout this series, gets his first lines as he hammers Ted with questions that he just cannot answer. He is bombarded with yells from media and fans alike as they transition from shots from the press conference to shots at the local bar as everyone is pretty pissed off. He then takes a sip of soda water and spits it out all over the front row because he thought it was regular water. He's not doing too well. Rebecca jumps in apologizing for her country's manners and says they have been nothing but profound mediocrity lately. They all pretty much come to an agreement and shut up. Rebecca then says, from now on, things are going to be this way, the Lasso way. One media member then says, I'll give it 3 weeks. Ted asks to see the team. Rebecca says, can't keep the gaffer from the pitch. Ted then says, tell you what, I went 0 for 2 on that one. Rebecca then admits her plans to Higgins. She wants the team to fail to make Rupert suffer. She knows that AFC Richmond is his only true love, and she wants to run it into the ground. Higgins does not have an easy time doing this. He gets worse. Ted and Coach Beard then go on to watch practice as they try to evaluate their players' talent. They ultimately make their way back to the locker room. As the players get back to the locker room, All you see is an unrespectful team and a lot of angry looks, especially from Captain Roy Kent, who is a UCL champion and an EPL legend. Ted then falls asleep. Beard wakes him up, says you gotta make it through so you can sleep at night, so you get over the jet lag. Then Ted invites Roy Kent into the locker room. They talk, and it's clear that Kent does not respect him, as he says he didn't think his career would end but being coached by Ronald fucking McDonald, as Ted was only trying to pay him a compliment about his career. Keely, who was introduced in the previous scene in the locker room as she was showing up to pick up her boyfriend Jamie to go get waxed, she then comes back and says she forgot his phone. As she was walking into the locker room, Ted was covering up an inappropriate picture of hers, let's just say, and Keely seems to like that. And Keely and Ted have an instant bond as she, quote unquote, helps him fix the sign that says believe, which is one of Ted's mottos. In the parking lot, we can see Higgins is not taking this news lightly. He's having a very hard time to go along with her plan. Rebecca then offers him a promotion, director of football operations. So Higgins accepts, and he's going to help her run the team into the ground, essentially. Rebecca then holds a guilt trip over his head by saying, "You never had a problem helping Rupert sneak women around all these years." Then Ted, in the passenger seat of Nathan's car, pretends like he's driving because it's on the left side in America. Gotta love Ted. The episode ends with Coach Beard and Ted Lasso walking back to their new homes for the foreseeable future, that at least they hope. And Coach Beard pays off the $5 bet because Ted used "into touch" during the press conference in a completely wrong way, but he used the sentence, so he got paid the bet. Ted is shown in his new house, pretty lonely looking. It looks like the first time we've ever seen him not smile, and we're wondering what's going on. And all of a sudden, you can tell he starts counting, trying to find out if it's a decent hour to call his family. He calls his family. His son answers the phone, talks to him for a bit, then gets on the phone with his wife. And the show then tells us that they are on the outs. She wanted space. He said, "I'm giving you space." And she's like, "Yeah, but not like this. You can't be calling me all the time." And the episode ends on a sour note with Ted not being able to sleep, even after surviving the entire day, trying to beat off the jet lag.
Thanks for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you don't. Be nice in the comments section. Nasty comments hurt my feelings. I work hard on these. If I make a mistake, it happens. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, it'll be up soon. Sharing is caring. Put it on your MySpace page or your away message. And check out my podcast, Scene Invaders, wherever you listen to podcasts.